Negan, a TWD Universe podcast. My name is Adam Vale. I'm senior editor over at the Koalition.com, and I'm joined by editor-in-chief Richard Bailey Jr.
What's up, Adam? What's up, listeners and viewers?
And Throwdown Show over on Twitch, Carlos Romero.
Yo, what's going on?
What's going on is that this man, I was gonna swear. This show,
it's a family show.
This show has hit it's hit rock bottom, and this is for Fear the Walking Dead, season 8, episode 10, Keeping Her Alive, and her is Alicia. They just can't let this go. They clearly, meaning the writers, creators, everyone behind this project, had every intention of keeping her around. We know she left to do other shows. She had other projects. We just checked her IMDb. She's working. She's doing stuff. That's fine. Great for her. But this show has not gone over her and continuously brings her up, even though they showed her die. And I know there's still an argument with people. I've seen it in the Reddits. No, she didn't die. She did. She was bit. She was sick for the longest time. All of a sudden, she collapsed on the beach. She was talking to her younger dead self. Remember, it's like her younger self. And then she wakes up and she looks and the bite mark's gone. She's all done. And she doesn't feel hurt at all. She's fine. Everything is great. And then the mom's like, all right, what now? It's like, well, I'm just going to go and live my life and do stuff. And she walks off. That's it. She was dead. That was her soul. Poof, moving on. But no, the show builds this whole final chapter of the series around her. It was like, oh, she went off and Troy found her. Oh, she found another group of people. She became a martyr. She had their killer van with the guns that the reporter that they encountered. I'm blanking on her name right now, but she eventually also left because she went with the Civic Republic. I mean, none of this makes sense. We're watching this episode in disbelief. It's just so it's absurd. And I know some people when they watch it like, oh well, it's Walking Dead. What do you expect? I expect better, especially toward the end with the storytelling, with the action. Which they did throw action, but we didn't get to see that. You know, this is how Fear works now. They just show the aftermath. They don't actually show the engagement and the fighting. No. That take too much time. Choreography, we're not doing all that. We're just going to cut away and we come back. Everything's going to be on fire. Oh, it's like my thoughts are all over the place with this damn show because this is not how I wanted it to end. It's not how anybody wanted this show to end. There's a right way and a wrong way, and they're just going down their horrible wrong way with, oh, it's all about Alicia. Yeah, Alicia did everything. Alicia was the one. Then with Troy, we're bringing back somebody that made it seem like he was dead. This and this. Too much of this. We said it before, and we'll say it again. This is very much like a novella. Jill fell down the well. She's dead. No, she's back. She lived in the well 3 months, but she figured out a way to climb out, and here she is. That's not how it really works, and that's what we're seeing here. Makes no damn sense. Rich, am I alone? Am I alone?
Oh no, this show is hot garbage. I think that's a little bit more polite way to say instead of swearing. Yeah, the show has a lot of issues. They bring characters back, and again, we saw Charlie brought back to life so she can die in her episode. That's a very interesting decision. So I guess it is believable that Alicia survived somehow, and all this happened off screen. So we're supposed to believe she came back, she saved others, and then eventually she passed away. I mean, it's absolutely absurd, but it is what it is. But no, show is not good. You know, anyone that says this show was good, they're a very diehard fan, and they just love everything that the writers do. But this show is not good.
No. To get on the boat, when we see that scene where we're introduced with Tracy, which is Troy's daughter, on the boat, blindfold, and we got Strand next to her, and they're like, oh well, we have a blindfold because we're going to the island, and then we don't want her to know where it is. He's like, oh, he takes the blindfold off. Look at the watchtower. Look at the tower. Look at the lighthouse, and then she jumps off the boat. We don't know what. And then and Strand jumps after her, and then they just show up on mainland, and they're fine and they're dry. Clearly she was going to get attacked by walkers. He comes to save the day with a weapon. Where'd he get that? I don't know. Then we get cut to another scene with Madison with a boombox, blasting music, getting this slow montage of her killing all these walkers. And again, who shows up? We got Strand and Tracy. Well, how? Where?
Yeah.
Oh
so
my God.
I do want to make a comment and say, like you said before, this show has a location problem, because I thought that Madison was no longer at Padre, but yet because that's what they told Strand over the radio tower. But then where he's at, I mean, that is Padre, right? See, it's a lot of confusion.
They were en route to Padre.
Yeah,
when
en
she
route.
Jumped
Okay.
off, but then they were so far off the mainland. Don't tell me this little girl swam all that, because I thought she was going to get to the lighthouse, but no, they show her she's on the mainland, because that's where Madison in the last episode. Remember, she walked off from Strand like, I'm just going to do my own thing. I'm going to find my own way. I'm going to find my daughter. Like, how? And then out of all places, he bumps. And don't tell me because he followed the music. Don't tell me that. It's like, oh, I heard the boombox. Where'd you get the boombox? Who's filling her oxygen tank? Oh,
yeah, that music. I guess she needed a therapy session, and that was why they had her killing all the walkers.
It doesn't
to her musical selection. Yeah,
doesn't add up. Doesn't make sense. All of this with the back and forth, and with Daniel and the other ones getting together, Lucy, and they're like, oh, we run these roads. We can't let people get on our roads, and we don't want Troy around. What? Because clearly they're trying to have it where she is continuing on what Morgan was trying to do with the whole thing of leaving supplies. And, remember, there was it's take what you need, that type of thing. And that came up in this again for no reason, because they're like, oh, well, he's still going to hunt us all down. Then they have that altercation we see with Lucy and her crew, because they're waiting for Troy to show up with his group, and we're like, oh, all right, we're going to see what's going to happen here. No, they cut to go see some other stuff, which we'll discuss, and when they come back, it's just fire everywhere. And everyone else is hurt, but the main characters that were all in the front line are perfectly fine. At least show a bandage on someone's head or someone shot in the leg, because that's the other thing. Everybody is fine. When we saw Dwight shows up again with June and everybody, they made it back to Padre. When we saw them, they're fine. Dove is fine. They're running around. Everything's fine. It is okay getting shot in the gut and then the body, other part. I forgot where Dwight got shot, but we know that Dove got shot in the gut. Everything's okay. You can heal instantly like that. This show, man. Carlos, man, you love this show? Is this your show of the year?
Well, that's a topic for another day. The saying that people say you're just a stone throws away. That's literally this show. It's Madison is a stone throws away from the kid, Victor, and the kid jumping out of the water, or Troy going to the truck stop to get to those people, or to Dwight and the group getting to those people. And it's like, it's way too convenient. I mean, I don't want to reiterate the stuff that you guys talked about at the beginning of the show, because I echo all those sentiments.
Man, those walkie-talkies are amazing. They're better than cell phones, because they have no limit to their range. Doesn't matter if you're out on the water, mainland, doesn't matter. It picks up everything. It's great. Don't even need to charge them.
It's crazy. And the whole thing with Alicia, it's like, you can't just use this whole the finale is about her. It's about a character that's not there.
No,
it's about a character that decided to get another job somewhere,
and they keep going with it. And that's why I brought up when we started. it's as if the writers had everything set right for Alicia, for the actress. It's like, all right, this is what's going to happen. You're going to do this. It's going to lead to a big battle. And she leaves to go do some other projects. And they're like, what do we do? Do we rewrite everything? No, we'll just work around it. And that's what they're doing. But they still have her as the focal point. It's still all about her. They're still looking for her. Whether she's dead or alive, it doesn't matter. Now they know she's dead. Well, we gotta find the Walker body. For what? For what? And I knew when they teased it for this episode, last episode, of Madison approaching a Walker from behind with long hair. I'm like, no, that's not her. And remember, once we saw this scene, I knew it wasn't her because I was like, look at the hand. Do we see a hand? No, they didn't even cut to the hand. They didn't want to show that. But she turns around. Sure enough, she says, oh, it's not her. Turns out Tracy led them there into this herd over there saying, well, that's my mother. And you led, Alicia did this. So I'm assuming that a bunch of people, because remember, Alicia was trying to get everybody to go to Padre, right? Let's gather together. Let's get together. She did have another crew because, again, we didn't see them. We didn't see the big battle, but there was a battle at some point at the tower last season. They didn't show it. So it's for us to assume that this woman and others in this group were part of that, and they died. And that woman, though, was still she was married to Troy, but Troy wasn't there for that big battle because clearly she wasn't a Walker, and they gave birth to this little girl. So I don't understand. There's a lot of questions there, and there's a big gap in that because if that's the case, she knew about this tower. Troy wasn't going to go to this, so she went, and then she died. That's how I picked it up. Is that what you guys got? Or how do you think Tracy was explaining this? Because she was doing her own little version of wordplay. You indirectly killed my mom, and I don't know.
I think Rich is better at piecing these puzzles more than I am.
I was going to say to you, Carlos, because I don't really care what they intended. I know that it was all garbage. I mean, obviously, the thing is that she wanted to. It was a plan to try to basically kill Madison, right? That's what Madison.
Well, it was a plan, but then the whole point was Madison was asking her, "Why did you bring us here? Then what's this? That's my mother." It's like, okay, that's your mom. What does it have to do with me? Well, Alicia led all these people to their death, and my mom was one of them. So that's why I'm just piecing the pieces together, because remember in last season it was going to be a big battle. Alicia did have a crew, right? But we didn't really see them. We just know that she had a crew, so we just assume she was a member of that crew. But then that doesn't explain where was Troy. Unless
he was gone.
He was gone. He wasn't even mentioned, wasn't connected in any way. I don't.
I see. I thought we were going to get a backstory episode to explain what happened to Troy all of this time that he was gone from the show, but I guess they're not going to do that. There's only 2 episodes left, and next episode is a double episode. They're going to show both of the episodes back to back. So I don't know, but I don't care. I don't care what they're trying to do in the show. They failed on so many levels.
Too many. Then everybody finding each other, Madison, and after they grab with Strand and the girl with the car situation, takes out a gun with Daniel, and he throws him out the car. Strand's on the road. He's doing a dance with a Walker, which I couldn't understand. It's like push the Walker. What? He's like holding on. They're holding it as if they're waiting for something to happen. So we knew something was going to happen because that's how this show works. And sure enough, a car shows up with the guns. It's the reporter. It's a shame I'm blanking on her name. She was a big part of the show, but I mentioned it before, that left for the Civic Republic and all that. But it's her vehicle. They have all the ammo in the world. They gun down all of them. They said, get in. And he's like, who are you? And she's like, it's like, oh, he says, I'm not Alicia Clark. I get that a lot. What? You look nothing like her. What do you mean you get that a lot? What do you mean?
Yeah.
And then to give that whole story while in the vehicle oh, she went and she saved us and she did this and we have all the tapes and we know everything that's going on and we're going to continue her legacy. Nobody else has seen this. Lucy never talked about. Oh, by the way, remember that tank thing that we had? There's a whole other crew that have that. What about all the kids from the communities that Madison stole from? She never came across these people. She never came across this other community that has this vehicle and had this whole story about Alicia. Come on, man. None of this makes sense. It does not connect.
How come Nick doesn't have a cult of people following
Right?
on him?
Yeah, where's Nick? What happened? Let's give some crazy story that when he was out there on a drug bench, he found a whole other group and he convinced them to clean up their act. And so it's just,
So let me just say this. All right. Obviously, when anyone watches this episode, they see these other new characters they've never met before. This is pretty much shows you they have run out of ideas for the show. Because and they didn't really think through any of this stuff, because if Alicia had another group, we should have saw some of these characters last season so you can make the connection and say, oh yeah, I recognize that person as being a part of Alicia's group. But we didn't see any of these people. And then they also had the thing where the leader of that group was talking to Strand and say, yes, you turned away my father and me. We didn't even get that scene last year. No, so that's why I said they made up all of these ideas, throwing everything at the wall to see what sticks, just so that they can have a final season. That's what it feels like.
That's it. They're just trying to, they don't care at this point. They just do a bunch of stuff together. Because the one thing we did see is that with that one episode, the first first part of the season. I think it's been so long, or was it last season? Somewhere where there was a phone booth. Remember the phone booth that was outside of the tower, and people would call and try to get in, and they would say, all right, well, what kind of services? What can you provide the community? Type of thing. So again, we have to assume that that's her dad was one of those that approached that phone and made that call. But then again, it didn't add up. Is she said you turned my dad away, but then later in that same segment there, she says that they regrouped with an army with Alicia to take over, but when they came back, it was already on fire. It's like so. And then you found Alicia and created a new.
We did see that showdown between Strand and Alicia where the fire got started, but we didn't see the aftermath of that.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Oh man, but it's so much. And then the little girl, she remembers everybody's first and last name. She knew Daniel's last name. She knew his whole backstory. All this. Really. This is what Troy was telling you about all these other people that really don't matter, because he makes it seem like all he cared about was Madison. He didn't care about anybody else. And this is what you tell your kid? Come on.
You're Daniel Salazar.
Yeah. I know everything about your daughter and how she poisoned all people. So, really? This what? No. Doesn't make any sense. That was horrible. That was horrible. And I think that was more intended for the viewers. So it's like, hey, if you don't really know what's going on with some of the backstory, we're going to try to sneak this in via this little girl, and she's just going to go down memory lane, and Daniel's going to be like, oh, yeah, about the tower. Because then she did it again before that with Madison, talking about everything that, oh, well, you did this with my dad's, his father, my grandfather, and then his brother. He turned his brother against him. Like, and you burnt down the community and all this stuff. Oh. It was too much, and right at the end, that one major part where we find out, of course, it's the girl's mother, and it was all a trap, and she's right, tie her up, leave her there. And James was like, do you have the heart for this? Remember, he was a ruthless one. Remember, he has the backstory that he was like special forces. I forgot where he was from, but he was part of the military. Remember, he knew how to kill and use weapons and do all that stuff. If anything, he would have been the first to realize, you know what? Yeah, she is rotten to the core. It doesn't matter. She's young. Her dad already brainwashed her. This is it. So what are you going to do? She doesn't know where your zombie daughter is. She has the necklace and the medallion that was given a few seasons back also by Strand. That was back at remember that other town where he became the sergeant of. Oh man, it's just so much back and forth, and and the storytelling, and you're trying to just put it all together in your head, but you're spending more time getting a headache just trying to put this. Well, that happened, and that happened, this part, this was, and they're just rattling it off like we're supposed to all put this together, and it's supposed to make sense. But then once you step back, you're like, wait a minute, no, this doesn't make sense. It doesn't connect in a timeline. Doesn't add up. Oh man,
It adds up to someone. I don't know who that person is, but it adds up to that person. And yeah, we've gone through all the hits. I still I'll reiterate this part that we talked about earlier, but it was the worst when the kid Tracy got off the boat. she
just jumped.
Just jumped, and no one was able to get her.
You're in a boat. You can't turn the boat around. You can't follow a little girl swimming. Come on now. There's no way.
Wasn't her hands tied up as well?
I think he cut the hands. I think he cut her free. Remember he cut something. Oh, that's right. He cut something on the boat because then the boat was like dead in the water. I don't know. It's stranded. I don't know how he had the time. It was fast cuts, but something happened to the boat, and then she jumped. But I'm still amazed that she was able to swim to the mainland because they were out there when they did those quick cuts showing to the side. Even that one scene was like, oh, look at the lighthouse. That wasn't too far. So I was like, oh, she's going to swim to the lighthouse. No, she goes to the mainland. How?
And then Dwight is like, I lost power. That scene was really bad.
It's gone downhill. It went downhill real fast.
I mean, Home Alone is more realistic than this.
Yeah. This is oh man. And I know some people are like, well, this is why I don't watch spin-offs. This is it, because it's never as good as the main. But that wasn't always the case. There were some good seasons. Unfortunately, it's not the final season. The season before this was a good build-up with the nuke and all that stuff going on. They were going in a different direction, throwing a lot of craziness at us. And they just threw it all out the window for this. If anything, it should have ended that season. That should have been it. This didn't have to happen. They should have just ended where that's it. You get on the raft, they go off. Do they make it? Yeah, maybe. Alicia's dead. Yeah, whatever. But it's done. But no, it comes back with Morgan on the beach and then bumping into Madison and doing that whole thing. And it's like, oh yeah, I collect kids. Right there, I knew it was bad. It's like, what? You're collecting kids? Now Padre is a place for kids to be collected.
Has there been is there a character that hasn't lost a kid in this show?
Right now, yeah. Daniel lost a kid. June lost her daughter. Of course, Madison. Now we have Madison. We have Dwight. They lost their son recently. Yeah, Finch. The only one would be Strand if you count Hans or Franz, whatever his name was, his adopted son.
That could still happen. That could still happen.
There you go. Yeah. Lucy doesn't have a kid. Lucy doesn't have a kid.
Well, she doesn't have a kid, but if she had one, she would have lost it.
She would have lost it. Oh yeah, and then the worst, he starts when Troy starts to bring up the whole thing with Nick and the relationship that they had and how he picked up. It's like, again, you're doing callbacks for many seasons back that, yes, people that watched it are sort of way back then. I'm like, oh yeah, I sort of remember. But give more context. Throw a flashback scene of something, but they can't because they don't have rights to show these actors again. So we don't even get that. It's a shame. It's a shame. People, please, if you're watching or listening, put your comments. I'm just really curious if it's just us, but this is hot garbage. This is a damn shame. This show should have just ended last season. That if this is what they're throwing at us, which it is, because it's going to end with Madison having a fight with Troy, or maybe not. Maybe we'll see afterwards that one of those situations where it's like, I'm coming in, I'm going to kill you with my sledgehammer, and then next they cut and he's dead, or maybe they both die and they just end it that way. But you know what? At least Morgan got out, right? He left this show. He's gone. It looks like he made it to Alexandria, at least made it to that part of Georgia. That's what we saw before the break, the midseason break. And that's fine. That's it. At least somebody got out of this, because it would have been horrible to see him wandering around like this, dealing with all this nonsense that doesn't make any sense. Like even with Troy saying, oh yeah, I trained all these guys. Oh, you trained them. So that means you have a home. You got guns. It means you have bullets. It means you have somebody like a Eugene. Someone's making your bullets. Come on now. Well, what's going on here? None of that. It doesn't add up. No one's asking these questions either on the show. That's the worst part. These are the common sense questions that people would ask. It's like, all right, well, if they have a group like this, then they have supplies, and they have to be a base of operations. So how big is that base? Where are they? How close were they? How did we miss this? Hey, Lucy, you have this whole truck route. You never saw this dude and any of these goons that he's running around with? Oh, boy.
Also, just to reiterate, just to emphasize how bad this is, they just skipped the whole Troy scene. They skipped that. They're surrounded by, like, it feels like a million to one, and somehow they survived. Well, at least they said that some of them survived. But we didn't get any of it.
No.
Why? This is
this is what they do. This is what they do. They did this before with the tower. Whole big brawl fight, and next you know we see everybody running away all beat up. This is horrible. That made no sense, because especially like you said, they were surrounded. He's standing right front and center. So is all the other heroes, from our show. But yet everyone is all right. No one was injured. But it's everybody else in the background that's dead.
You would think that most of the people have their scopes aimed at him.
It made no sense. You know what? I was just thinking also, Rich, the dude in the wheelchair, and his sister. What happened to them?
It looks to me like the writers have decided, well, we need to get rid of these characters. We're not going to bother bringing them back for the last season.
No, right? Because that was the other thing. They were said to have gone on. They were like, oh, they were on another raft. Okay, well, where did that go? Well, we don't know. And I don't know if we're going to find out. Like you said, there's only 2 more episodes. So I don't know. I don't know where they are, but they didn't come back for this. And no one seems to care. No one seems to care. So it would have made perfect sense, especially with the truck route and the whole thing with Lucy. Because remember, that was the whole thing with the sister. She drove the truck. She also helped June. She was working to be like her assistant, a nurse type of thing. But no, that's gone. It's gone. Oh man, it's upsetting. It's a shame. I like this show. I used to like this show, and then to see it phase out and just die like this, it's going to be one of those when years later and people start talking about, I don't know if this is going to be on syndication outside of AMC. Of course, AMC is going to keep playing it. It's their show, but I don't think this is going to carry over anywhere else, and I don't think it's going to be remembered fondly. I think people are going to be like, yeah, oh yeah, they did that season. Yeah, I saw that. It was like 8 seasons. There was like 2 or 3 that were good. Everything else, what about the last one? Because usually the last one for most shows is where it gets crazy, because craziness happens. You start killing off characters. Everything goes off the rails, and that's not here. Everything went off the rails, but in a horrible way, as the story just doesn't make any sense. And then just throwing all this stuff together and as leaving for us to try to put it together or just put the key parts out of our minds. Like, just go with it. Don't worry about this. Don't worry about that. Don't worry about how they can just walk up on shore from jumping off a boat and they're dry. You're thinking too much into it. Don't think about it. Oh yeah, walkie-talkie. Everything still works. Yeah. No, don't worry about that. Yeah, they're good. They're good. Oh, you got shot. You're still walking around, running. Both of them. We saw that again with Dove and with Dwight right after that big fight scene that we didn't see. We see them walking around with their guns. Oh, we're fine. Oh, yeah, where's all the bandage? What happened? I mean, you just got shot. Both of you. Whatever. 2 more episodes, people. That's all we got. But right now, I'm telling you, this is it, Rich. This, the last part of the season, has been worse than both seasons of World Beyond. At least that tried to make sense. That tried to add something new with the Civic Republic and with the experiments and stuff. This offers nothing to the whole universe of The Walking Dead.
All right,
Nothing.
I got one for you. Is it this or Tales of the Walking Dead?
Tales was just supposed to be, a little side piece, entertainment. Every episode doesn't make any sense. It doesn't connect to anything. Just enjoy it. But World Beyond, they were trying to tell a serious story. They were trying to really expand the universe with all this stuff. And some of the pieces carried over, like the Republic, that whole group, that military group, and with the experiments, that carried over also, because those are the people that took Rick. So it contributed to the main story of The Walking Dead, and at least where they're going with this, and even with the Rick and Michonne. But this Fear is contributing nothing unless Morgan pops up in one of the other ones, because now he's back in Georgia. But everybody else, no. Padre, who cares? It's done nothing for the show. Troy and Madison and hunting around, like, hey, even if Madison was to make it back and it was like, oh, what happened? Tell me. If she was one of those characters, if it was real life, was to explain situation, what happened? This guy came back from, we thought we killed him, but then he came back. He said he killed my daughter. So then what? Oh, so then I went on this long hunt looking for my zombie daughter. Where? Well, it's a big open air. Where? I can't tell you. I don't really know. But I just kept walking out there. Oh, I got a boom box. I was playing some, metal. I'm pretty sure it was Molly Crew, but whatever. She playing music, and I was trying to lure the walkers toward me. You're going to kill all of them? Yeah, no, as many as I could. But then guess what? Then Strand showed up with the little girl, and how did he find you? I don't know. He just did. Maybe the music. Oh, okay. All right. Where was he before? He said he was on a boat. Oh, how did he get off? They docked? No. The little girl jumped. He jumped off, and they swam. Were they far? Pretty far. They were close to Padre. Close enough that we see her as a threat, because now she knows where it is. Oh, okay. She's a good swimmer? I guess so. I don't know. It's just dumb. It's just dumb. This show is dumb. This is horrible. I'm over it. I can't wait. Now. 2 more episodes. That's it. We're wrapping this up, and that's it. So anything else you guys want to say about this episode?
No comments from me.
Not for me.
Nice. All right, people. Thanks for listening over on iTunes, Spotify, YouTube. Checking us out over at the Koalition with all our other content, game reviews, interviews, breakdown of other shows. We're also covering The Invincible. Well, not me and some other, but some of the other guys here. I think, Rich, you're part of that panel, right? That does Invincible.
Yeah.
Yep. There you go. So got that going, and this is it. The only upside to this is that 2, actually. One, it's coming to an end, and the other is that at least we know that the spinoffs from what we've seen so far with Dead City and Daryl Dixon are not following this pattern. They've gone in a different approach, more mature approach, one that actually makes sense in a lot of ways. If you could say that about a zombie show. All right. Well, that's it. And we will be back next week. Peace. Thanks again.
Peace.